I'm excited that you're doing this and to be a part of it. I think it's so important that we get the word out about the need for men and what it means to be a man today more than ever.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot to ask for your intention. What's your intention?
My intention is to complement yours and to be present and as authentic as and to be authentic in the moment and just bring what needs to be brought out for the audience and for us so that it's a mutually beneficial experience. So I guess enjoy the experience and to align with that purpose that you have and have some fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That would be
I think
it.
it was a little loud.
Was it with me or you?
No, me.
Okay.
It's definitely with me. Okay, cool. So this is tobacco from Mongolia.
Okay.
So the way to do it is a snuff tobacco.
Okay.
You could just put it on your palm or on the back of your hand, and you can make a line to that. Single nostril. Or both nostrils, up to you. So let me demonstrate.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll demonstrate. So I usually do a lot. I just do a little bit. It's pretty minty.
Okay.
You can do it more if you like. And then afterwards, you clean up.
And it's about that much. Both nostrils?
I only did one, but if you want to do two, you can.
I'm just it's similar to like doing hape.
This is much gentler. This is minty. So
Alright.
super minty. You can smell it a little bit, so you can kind of get a taste.
Cool. I love firsts. This is my first time doing this. What's the intention typically before somebody snuffs the tobacco? What for what purpose or why?
That's right. For the way Mongolians use it, they use it as an exchange, like a handshake almost. So instead of a handshake, they exchange snuff tobacco with each other.
Oh wow!
And then do this.
How cool! Does that seem like a good amount?
It sounds like a good amount. Yeah.
Was that a lot that I did?
No, it's normal. Yeah.
Whew. This is very nice. I can feel the mint, so it's almost like a essential oil. I feel like I had a dose of essential oil with the tobacco. Very nice. So when would you or someone who carries this medicine, this tobacco, typically use it when they're not doing a greeting with someone else?
Good question. I don't know actually. I haven't looked into that.
I wonder, like, rather than have a cup of coffee, for example, like
I would say
I need to change my energy, or I had a conversation, someone brought some energy I didn't really like, and when that was done, I want to just clear quickly.
Well, how do you feel inside? Maybe you can,
That's based on how I feel inside. I could see its use in that way. I feel more energized, more alert, and fresh.
Yeah, it's minty, right?
Yeah, real nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's cool.
So today we have Daniel Hoover with us, and Daniel is a dear, dear friend of mine. He is someone who just walks around with that boyish charm, that joie de vie, that joyful life, with everything that he does, everyone that he touches, physically and metaphorically. Yeah, because he's a doctor. I remember the time when we first met. We were in the meditation ceremony, and you were cracking some jokes about your relationship with your wife. And right away, my other best friend and I would just look at each other, and then we kind of winked at each other, like we know that you're one of us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, right away.
I remember that conversation, and something was happening there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the questions I always ask is, what are some of the pivotal moments that happened in your childhood that made you the person that you are, the man that you are today? So that way you can create some relatedness for everyone that's listening.
I had a profound experience at a young age. I was adopted when I was 2 years old. And so it was a traumatic start to my life. And looking back on the experience from getting away from my birth mother who wasn't fit to raise me, going through a few foster homes, and then ultimately ending up with my family who adopted me, and I was adopted too, I think it gave me an advantage. So first, my family had to deal with me for a couple of years. I had nightmares and things like that, and my dad sat me on his lap every day. You know, I'd wake up crying, and he sit me on the lap. He's like, this is the good mommy, and point to my mom who adopted me, and a picture of and this is the bad mommy, and help me. You know, I confused my mom, so it was really kind of crazy there for a minute. But what that did was show me unconditional love. That I was him. And my mom, she couldn't say anything to me. She would just have to sit there until I finally, you know, after a year or two, realized she's my mom and she's a good woman. I was scared of her. Yeah, my mom who adopted me. And then I experienced true, deep masculine care. Like my dad saved my life. I think I would have been messed up. I'd have been, you know, just because so I guess that's the short story, right? And so what I realized. Excuse me 1 second, please. So to make a long story short, I was adopted at a young age, and just that transition from going from an unfit home to a fit home where I was loved and not ready for that, and seeing the care from my family and the masculine care from my father, it helped me to one, experience and feel true love and being wanted. But what I realized in recent years is I was forced at a very young age to face my problems and my challenges. And growing up, someone would have a problem and I'd be like, why don't you just deal with it? You know, why don't you just handle it? Oh, that's your problem? You know, problem, no problem, right? That kind of concept. Well, let's deal with it. And it became a habit for me. And I started to notice other people weren't, and it took me some time to realize I was so blessed with the opportunity to learn to just face my fears from the beginning. And I think that has helped me move powerfully forward in my life, and just, if there's an obstacle, well, how do I deal with this obstacle?
So that's interesting, because a lot of people, I would say probably most, right, having gone through that experience would say it was traumatizing. And yet you came out of that you transcended from that, and then you said it was one of the best, I can't remember the exact verbiage that you used. I think it was one of the best experience or lessons that you got, right? Can you say a little bit more about that? Or was there a point where you resented or whatever, and then you transcended? Was there a pivotal moment, like a switch? Or has it always been like, oh, what a blessing?
Looking back, I see how profound of a blessing it was. There was a period of time, I think it was when I was 5 years old, I had this dream where Voltron came through and killed the monster in my dreams that was haunting me. And ever since then, I was just this happy kid. Like, that was the thing. Like, it was in my dream, Voltron came, and leading up to that, for some time, my dad was like, why don't you use this character? And he kept using all these different characters, and I guess he didn't realize that Voltron was the one, but he's like, why don't you just have so-and-so, you know, the Thundercats, go kill the monster. And just one day, in my dream, Voltron came through. So
Voltron was your spirit animal.
I guess so.
Your spirit guide.
That was my spirit guide, man.
Nice.
And then from 5 on, I just remember the most amazing childhood. I was just happy, and that chapter was closed. So I think that's the moment. And then having my dad growing up, being he was my coach. So I think I started playing basketball when I was 6 years old, and he was my coach. And just having my mom being a patient, loving woman, supporting the family, and my sister, you know, it's great. It's been great. I see that drip you're talking about.
Yes.
So should I just swallow it?
Whatever you want. Gargle, swallow, whatever you need.
All right, I think I'm good.
Yeah. You good now?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm good. I was just curious about like what to do, but it's not too bad.
Not too bad.
The
You
mint
sure?
has descended. It has begun to drip.
So are you always this happy kid, this like joyous person, or is cultivated, is learned?
As far as I remember, I've just been playful. And I think that might be partly why I have gotten into the profession I'm in, and I've gotten into the different leadership roles I've gotten in, because I remember at different periods of my life, in middle school and high school and college, recognizing other people weren't genuinely happy, and I'm like, why aren't other people happy? And I think, again, I tackled my fears, my biggest challenges, right? So any challenge after that was small in comparison. So how can I authentically be me and happy, and not allow being around other people who are not happy reduce my happiness? And at the same time, how can I enroll people into happiness and invite them into happiness in a way that's authentic? So I've found that I found the way through play.
Beautiful.
Ooh, it's clear.
It's clear now?
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, I'm glad we're here. I know we've both been busy going off doing our things. I'm really enjoying just outside of this being recorded. I'm having some fun.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I always enjoy our conversations.
I always appreciate your presence.
Cool.
Yeah, you're that source of joy in my life. I need me a little injection of Daniel Hoover.
Sure, man. Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you actually help people who, empower them, who is not maybe necessarily as joyous, as happy as you were or as you are?
I think it starts with being happy myself. I love what Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So in order to help other people be happy, I need to be happy first myself. So making sure I'm taking care of myself. So I haven't really thought about this. This is a good question, but I would say it starts with self-care. Making sure I'm taken care of, I'm healthy. If I'm getting sick all the time, it's hard to be up and happy. So self-care is a big part of who I am and how I live my life.
Okay, anything else? Self-care?
Part of the self-care is carving out time to play. I love to play sports. I'm the type of person that when a friend says, hey, let's do this, let's do a podcast, let's do it. Let's go play basketball. Awesome. And it's usually just a scheduling thing. Let's go on a hike to 10,000 feet. Okay, cool. I may not be trained for it, but let's do it.
Yeah, I remember a few times when we talked about how you went on a hike when a friend asked you to, was it Tibet or something?
Nepal, right?
And then kind of like a last minute thing, right?
Kind of. Well, it wasn't so much last minute. I guess I had maybe a month or two to prepare, but it was at a time where I had my practice and it was only me. And I was his best man, and he wanted to do that for his bachelor adventure rather than have a bachelor party. And as his best man, like, sure, okay, I'll support you with that, but I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? And I am so grateful, because that pushed me to come up with the solution of hiring an associate to do what I do while I'm gone. And she did such a great job, and everyone got better while I was gone. It's such a wonderful and humbling experience that, it's not about me, it's about the medicine. And this doctor that I hired, that could have been short term while I'm gone or long term, she's still with us today.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
What a happy accident.
I love happy accidents.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also remember there were a few times we talked about the Spartan race. You asked me one of the questions, have you trained for it? My answer is no. And you said, same here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it, actually. So I'm trained as an engineer, as a very analytical person. And over the years, I've learned to just relax a little bit more. I mean, there's a time and a place for preparation, of course. But it's like the yin and the yang, right? If you prepare, trying to get everything, all the ducks in a row before you take any action, number one, the ducks will never be in a row, so you will never take any action. Or number two, if the ducks do line up in a row one day, miraculously, they'll only be in a row for a nanosecond. then it will be off the road again. So there's a balance between obviously preparation as well as that spontaneity, because life is continuously unfolding all the time. So I'm curious, like, what's your line between preparation and spontaneity?
That's a great question. For the past couple of years, I've been using, I call it a mantra of done is better than perfect. Mm-hmm. So that keeps me in action rather than waiting until the plans or the product or whatever it is I'm manifesting is perfect before I put it out. Mm-hmm. And I think it's similar to the idea of shoot, then aim. Mm-hmm. If you shoot first, you're not too far off the target, and then when you aim after that, you're going to hit the target. But if you're always aiming, you may not ever fire until you get it just right. And how many unfolding moments passed you by?
Mm-hmm. So what specific scenarios would you say that's applicable in life, as a man, as a business owner, as a father? Is that ready? Instead of ready, aim, shoot, it's shoot, aim, and then ready, something.
Yeah, ready, shoot, aim, I guess.
Yeah. Contrary to ready, shoot, aim.
So doing a video, doing a podcast, like when it comes to editing, social media, updating the website, creating a new page, writing a blog, I wouldn't have produced anything yet if I was waiting for it to be perfect. So it's good enough. And I had someone else clear it. So I got it to where I think it's pretty good. I'll have someone look at it, clear it, like, okay, there's a couple of edits, and then let's go, you know? Yeah. I'm not known for being a major in English or grammar, right. Although I'm grateful my mom who was an English teacher, so that's good enough. Yeah. But, what else? The Spartan race, right? Like, CK, you invited me to the Spartan race. I haven't trained. I'm not ready, you know. No, let's go, and we'll go together. Yeah. You know, we'll pace together. Right. So.
Yeah, my rule of thumb, my mental model is this: as long as if the worst that could happen won't kill me, I'll probably say yes. Right. If any, like, the worst outcome is not catastrophic. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever, relationally, it's not a catastrophic outcome. It's manageable, rather. Then I'm probably just like, it's good enough, and keep going. But my tendency, as my analytical training has taught me, is try to like be perfect and check, triple times, quadruple times, make sure like everything is perfect. Then I'll take an action. So now I need to play that balance. Going back to empowering people to feel happier, feel better. So self-care, play. Is there anything else that you do conscientiously or subconsciously?
Create experiences. So I will invite people to experiences that I have found beneficial to me, that'll either raise my awareness and consciousness, raise my mood, and I'll invite them to either a different meditation circle, to a different game, or a Spartan race. So I invite people to the things that bring fun and joy in my life. Yeah.
I mean, that's actually one of the through lines. Just your way of being, your MO is always that joy, that fun, whether it be sports or literally anything. I mean, people can't help but have a good time around you. Cool. I mean, is that a conscientious thing, or is it just like you're so used to it by now? This is just what you do. This is who you are.
I imagine it's a bit of both, and it's nice to hear because it's an intention I set out some years ago, and this is the first time I've heard someone actually say that. Oh yeah. I mean, people say they enjoy being around me, things like that, but I really want everyone to be happy. There's a prayer that I heard recently, and you may know it too. It was from the 10-day Vipassana meditation. The man who started it, one of his prayers or meditations, he says, "May all beings be happy." And that resonated with me, and I was like, yes, that's what I'm about. But until I heard that, I didn't get it. Yeah.
May all beings be happy, starting with us.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And not at the expense of our happiness either.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people use the analogy of the airplane, right? When the oxygen mask comes down, do you put it on another person first before you put it on yourself?
Yes, that's one of my favorite examples. And I'll even say, you know, go as far as if there's a baby there and there's a kid there, who do you put it on first? You know, you got to put it on you. Even if there's a little baby, you got to.
So what are some of your self-care, rituals or disciplines? Your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. What are some of your self-care rituals?
Well, one is definitely to link up with CK.
Oh, right.
Exercise daily. Hygiene's important. Cold shower. I don't do it every day, but several times a week to just, shock my nervous system, boost my awareness. Tai Chi is a big part of what I do. I'm a student, I'm a teacher. I find it to be a very profound practice that teaches me to slow down and be present, and at the same time I'm opening up channels and meridians and strengthening my body. Taking time to nourish my relationship with my wife. If I'm just working on self-care with me, there's also that third entity, our relationship, our marriage, right? And so I do make sure to really listen and spend time with her. So the full integration and acceptance of my marriage, that's really helped. And then a happy side effect is she encourages more playtime for me. Like, go play, because she's good, Quiet time. I need to have some quiet time to myself. So we actually, getting back to the marriage thing, we have an understanding that when I get home, or at some point when I get home, I'm going to need to decompress or just have some time to myself just to unwind. Meditate.
Do you put like a sock in your door or something? So as a
I used to have a door, but now everything is hers.
I see.
So
how do you get that alone time? How do you signal that alone time?
She usually just knows when I get home, or she'll check in like, hey, how much time do you need? Or if I had a particularly challenging day, I'll let her know like, hey, I might need like 15, 20 minutes just to kind of decompress. And
so you say that you are.
I'll tell her. I'll let her know.
I mean, that's a beautiful hack, right? Well, I don't say hack or tip or suggestion or idea, because most people assume that the other person knows versus like a signal. Hey, how much time do you need? Or I need 15, 20 minutes to decompress. These are very explicit terms versus like, hey, right away, here's the kid, go put out the trash, the door needs, whatever, repaired. That's beautiful.
I didn't get that right away. It took me a while.
Yes, we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, I know. I didn't
Share
get that.
with other people.
Yes. And then actually, so speaking of the development of that happy wife, happy life hack, I'll call it, is there was a challenge where, she didn't feel like she was being listened to. And I wanted to listen to her, but I'm like studying or I'm working at home. And so what I finally figured out, and we figured out together, is I would just let her know like, hey, I want to listen to you, but I can't listen to you right now. I mean, unless it's urgent. Let me finish this up so you can have 100% of my attention. I want to give you 100% of my attention, and I can't be fully present to you right now. Is that cool? And she got to a point where she was like, yeah, totally. But then it was up to me to come back to her and say, now I'm ready. So there was a transition challenge where I didn't come back. I'd be done doing my thing, and I would either forget or not take the time or consideration to say, oh yeah, what was that you were saying? So if I tell her not now, or I need to come home and decompress, when those 10 minutes are up or that half hour is up, it's on me to be in integrity around that and say, hey, I'm complete. How's your day? What's going on? And so that's the other part, is the follow through. It sounds good, we got to follow through.
I love that how you prioritize your wife's happiness as part of your happiness sphere of influence, I suppose.
It took me a while to get there. I thought that I needed to So it's a little different in a relationship. I find when you're single, it's like, hey, self care all day. Now I'm committed to this person, and if she's not happy, that's going to affect my happiness as well. Granted, I can't make her happy,
right?
But I can help create an environment and listen and help cultivate what it is that she needs.
Right.
And then I get more happy time.
Yeah.
And now we're a couple that bring happiness to other couples and people. Or I had never heard of this hashtag, but there's a hashtag relationship goals. And I started seeing people hashtag that on some social media things with us, and I was like, wow.
About you guys.
About us. And so now I see
great.
It's not just me. She and I now are a partnership that brings happiness to others.
So how do you do that with others? I mean, what I hear is embodiment. Obviously, you're not going out to proselytize, to preach, right? What it means to be this relationship goal couple. But how did other people find you to be inspiring? Curious.
You know, I was just having a conversation about this with her recently, and I think it may be because I don't share my beliefs that much with people. Like I don't talk about politics or religion with people, especially in larger groups, because that might turn people off very quickly. Not that I feel very strongly, like I'm like hardcore this way or that way. And I realized at some point in my adult life that for me to help more people and to have a broader reach, the less I talk about politics, the less I talk about religion or other, let's just say, very controversial things, the more people I'll be able to touch. And then on an intimate level we can talk, and then they'll be more open. But if I just lead with, this party or that party or this religion or this way of thinking or this type of meditation or this jungle medicine, if I lead with that, it pushes people away. So I'll just be, and then let people get curious about what it is that I do, or find out, or get curious about what they do, but not impose any beliefs. Because I think there's multiple paths, and I think your podcast speaks to it. There's multiple paths to being, happy, healthy human being, man,
Yeah, I actually learned that lesson some time ago when I was younger. To me, I was very more hard edges about everything, right? Science is the way, right? Okay, personal development is the way. And I didn't, without realizing it, I became dogmatic to my point of view. So things that I found effective for my personal life or relationships, I started to impose myself. And I had to, only in recent years, I had to really check and say, oh, okay. People want to be empowered, but they don't necessarily want to be told what to do or what's right or what should they do or must do or have to do or whatever. I mean, that's the ego, right? Because the ego, the human ego, they don't want to be told what to do.
Right. Yeah. So the word that comes to mind is inclusive. Just being inclusive and open-minded. And I can sit in a room with someone who has beliefs that I would consider are negative and non-inclusive, but by being inclusive to this person and hearing their side, something starts to open up with them.
So one of the things I want to ask you is, I remember the first time we met, I wasn't very inclusive, right? I was, it was years ago. I was a little bit more arrogant than I am right now, right? But yet you actually kept engaging with me, and then finally I'm so glad you did, such that we can have a really great friendship now. So do you, by default, reach out to other people?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit. It may be a case-by-case basis, I think we're attracted to different people for different reasons, so I'll explore that, and we met in a very unique circle, so automatically a lot of barriers are gone, because the type of people who would go to a meditation retreat, you can have a different set of conversations with. At this point in my life, I don't know if I necessarily reach out to people. I'm really happy with the circles that I'm in, and I'm open to meeting new people. But when I'm present with someone else, or I'm in the grocery store, or when I'm out and about or around strangers, I do make a point. I do make an effort to, I know what it is. It's not just happiness that it is that I want for people, is to be present. I notice when I'm in public, everyone's on their phones or they're just distracted, and I'm sitting here looking around, and it's like everyone's just like looking down at their phones. So the person that isn't, or they happen to look up from their phone and I make eye contact with, that's when it starts. But I'm not going to take someone out of their rhythm or wherever they are. But if I can connect with somebody and they're present, like,
it's a moment of recognition.
Yeah,
I recognize you.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's really cool. Happy?
Happy.
All right. So
happy to happy.
Happy to happy. Sharper one or gentle one?
Could I smell them?
Yeah, of course.
Let's see. Ooh. Do you happen to know the name of this one? Is it Yahweh?
I don't know, actually.
It's okay. Let's see. This is the softer one?
This is the softer one.
What's the delivery method? Is it going to be like a hummingbird, or just kind of like just gentle? Oh, self. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
So you can do it where you like.
Well, I want to do the same. Thank you. I want to do the same one that you're doing, so we're on the same level.
Yeah. So I usually follow, since you know how to use it. So
okay. All right. That's fair.
Right.
Let me give this. I like this one. This one is really resonating with me. So I guess it is the sharper one.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. This is nice here. This is a nice.
Oh, I really clean it.
It's just a habit, That's a habit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Future reference, I'm gonna have like wet wipes and stuff. So,
Sure. And I gotcha.
And do you have your own hape?
Mm-hmm.
You use hape?
I do, yeah. Whoops. Whoops.
Yeah, feel free. Go for it.
Oh yeah, split it up. Let's see. Oh yeah, that might be a little much. We shall see, huh?
Oh, the other way.
Oh, you put it in this way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll do it that way. Wait, hold on a second. Got it. Okay. Because, this is how it would go for if we were serving.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will be go right there. Thank you. I don't serve myself much, so I might.
Yeah.
I have a self-serve one, but I don't do it that much. Does that seem like a good amount, or should I go a little more?
It's up to you.
Fine
So
then. Pressure me.
You're a seasoned
Jeez,
traveler.
man.
You're a seasoned
Why are you
traveler.
pressuring me like this?
You're a seasoned traveler. So remember your intention?
Yes. Give you a little space, sometimes powder starts flying all over the place. I don't cry much as a man. I know how good it is for me to cry. That rare is there an opportunity for me to cry, and I welcome it. One thing that I really like about Hape is it makes me cry every time. I haven't heard it described as sharp, and I do agree. There's one way. I see. So you measure it that way. You pull it out with the tube to measure it, and then you dump it. Is that what you do? Cool. Because I didn't self-administer much, so that's good for me to learn. Nice one, man. Oh, man. So how often do you self-administer, and how do you come to why or when you're like, you know what, I'm gonna have some hape right now?
Are you ready to start?
Yeah, did you stop it?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's all live with me.
Yeah, it's all good?
Yeah,
okay.
We're good.
Right. So it's a marker. So your question was, how often do I do it?
Yeah, how often do you typically self-administer hape, and how or why do you come to know when, you know what, I'm gonna have some hape?
Yeah. So I heard this phrase from this Chinese medicine doctor. He said use hape to potentiate what's happening. And for me, I do it more for a spiritual reason.
Okay.
As in, it's a form of adversity, self-applied adversity, right? It's similar to how some people do meditation for like 2 hours at a time, in spite of how uncomfortable it may be, or the Spartan race, or CrossFit, things like that. The effect is very similar to me. The reason is, essentially I overwhelm the body with this very intense physicality sensation, and then I get a little bit of quiet, and then I use that quiet for meditation purposes, as an example. Right now I'm feeling a little woozy, right? It's very similar to that CrossFit. At the end of the CrossFit, my body is spent. So and it's purely physical, right? So I use that moment of silence to turn down the volume of chatter, of the noise in my head, such that I can hear the whisper of insight or epiphany or whatever it may be. And hopefully, right, in the process, I can really discern what is the next action steps that I can take towards my purpose in life.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So just a follow-up question. How do you determine whether or not you want to use hape for meditation? Do you use it every time? Or if maybe you're not, and I'm asking for myself too, I'm learning from you, sure. Because my relationship with hape is developing, and I had a resistance to hape, but in different meditations it would be offered, and it's warrior medicine, so I'm in. But now I'm more comfortable self-administering, or even at home, my wife and I, we will partake, and I'm just it's a new relationship for me. So I really want to go deep in meditation. Would that be a time, or a particularly challenging day? You're all in your head.
Yeah, I use it to quiet my mind. for meditation purposes. Not every day, but often when I meditate.
Okay.
Use a hobby. So actually, on that note,
Thank you.
let's talk about adversity a little bit, because this is a perfect segue to adversity.
Sure.
You know, my morning ritual is this: I hop into a sauna, then I do a little bit of movement, so then I get my body. Then after that, I then meditate. Oftentimes with hot bath.
Okay.
Right, all of it is physical intensity, and then in the end of that, I do a cold shower. So as a way to really push that physical envelope of that discomfort. And none of it is pleasant, by the way. I don't like it.
I get it. I get
don't
that.
like sauna. I don't like to sweat. I don't like to sit for a long time. I mean, naturally I fidget, right? That there's an unease that I feel in my body. But precisely for that reason, I like to face it head on. So it's self-imposed adversity rather than when life throw a hammer at me, then it's externally imposed.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a way for me to really cultivate that inner stillness. In CrossFit, same thing. I never like exercise. I don't like, people think that I'm fit, I must exercise a lot, I must love it, I must love the Spartan race. Every single time, if you know how sometimes they take pictures of you,
Yeah.
the journey.
Yes.
So I remember this one time I was racing a 5K, and I saw from mile, like the first 400 meters to the end of the race, every single picture, I'm like have this grimace on my face. It's not smiling. I'm not enjoying the process. It's just like a struggle the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's why I do it.
Okay.
Not from the perspective of like a masochist, but just I wanted to really push my own comfort zone.
I get that.
So how do you manage a relationship with adversity or self-imposed or externally imposed adversity?
I've found that the greatest growth I've had in my life was when I've had the most adversity or discomfort. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, I got invited, peer pressured, into training for a triathlon. And that's where I really got the importance of embracing discomfort. So I never did any endurance exercises, and just like you described, it's uncomfortable. I'm in pain or some extreme discomfort throughout the whole time, on the bike, during the swim, during the run. But what I found is that calm afterwards, and I was continually getting PRs or personal records, and I kept improving and getting faster. And in that, I also noticed there was a parallel process in my development in my business. The year I started training for some triathlons is the year my business doubled. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna keep running. So learning to embrace discomfort has really allowed me to grow as a person in many dimensions. So I similarly am looking for more opportunities to get discomfort in a therapeutic way. One of our recent conversations about stoicism, I've been thinking about, and I've been reading some books around that, listening to some things about stoicism, and I get that it's okay and it's needed. You know, in order to grow, to work out, to grow muscle, you have to get uncomfortable, you have to feel the burn. If you don't get to the point of feeling the burn, you're not breaking down the muscle.
Right.
So I love it. This year I created a intention of...
You love it. What's it?
I love growing. I love improving. And just a side note, when I talk about self-improvement, sometimes people say, you are whole and complete how you are.
Right.
I agree. And I'm gonna, cultivate that, So it's not coming from a place of deficit. But I just feel my best when I'm in a place of growth and wonder, and then it inspires other people, and I can be a more effective human being. Yeah. it's strange, most of my life I resisted and avoided pain and discomfort.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah. Except for sports. Like I knew, because I loved playing sports preseason and the training, I had to do that because I liked the game and I love team sports. So, there's some discomfort with that, but now I'm looking for more opportunities. So this past year I didn't have any triathlons that I did. I didn't sign up for any of this year. I have a couple next year, but I still trained, and it was not just to stay fit, because I do a lot of things to stay fit. I'll do the triathlon things to cultivate my grit.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm very much on the same way, hence why we connect so well as friends. But there's a balance, right, between this addiction to improvement versus what's another word I'm looking for?
Surrender?
Yeah, surrender, like whole and complete.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the yin and yang again.
Yeah.
How do you find that line? Because it's easy to continue to push the mind over body, right? I tell my body what to do. My body doesn't tell me what to do. Like very much intentionality, the masculine, the yang way of doing things.
Yeah.
Push. How do you have a very healthy harmony relationship with this dance between the surrender, like whole and complete, as well as, this is my will, this shall be?
I think,
and more specifically on the physicality, given this is your expertise, right?
Okay, I think it's about being conscious about it and knowing my why. So one of the challenges I have, and this shows up with patients so what happens a lot of times, a patient will come in because they have an injury, and their main goal is they want to get back to working out, and they'll start to feel better quickly because the healing's taking place, and then they'll go work out really hard because they're feeling well, like the weekend warrior mentality. And so I get being all in and just work out, but if the goal is to continue to get stronger and more flexible and more healthy, taking a step back and thinking about, keeping in mind the tortoise and the hare, right? There's a saying my friend who coached me in the triathlon is slow is fast, slow incremental gains. I am realizing I don't need to have a big strong workout 2 or 3 times a week. I'm just going to injure myself, my ligaments, my tendons. If I truly am into this, how can I be congruent around it? And it's really to have a strategy and a plan. I love seeing the pictures of someone from 5 years ago, and then now it's 5 years later, and looking at the transformation in their body. When you see the 30-day or the 60-day or even a year, you see a change. But the ones where they compare a few years or several years, that's what gets me interested. When I see the people who are older adults, 60, 70 years old, and they didn't start working out until they're 50 or 60, and they're ripped, that's inspiring to me. So I think it's knowing and trusting what we're capable of and having long, sustained, incremental gains. Consistency.
I mean, that's pretty much the secret to life, right? A lot of people, the ego, the yang, the intentionality wants instant gratification, want it now. I want to lose 25 pounds 30 days from now.
Right.
It's possible, but is it sustainable? Questionable. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people, let's say, who joined the Biggest Loser program, they lost their poundage. Chances are, after the show is over, it comes back. So,
I guess another way to answer it is, I want to stay in the game. So I do everything I can to prevent injury. So I'm going to do what I can to prevent injury. Kind of like how you said, how you decide whether or not to do something as long as it's not a big injury. You're interested in it. So as long as I'm not going to injure myself, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to... so the Spartan race, we didn't train for the Spartan race and we did it. And I allowed myself to do that knowing that I had an agreement with myself. I'm going to pace myself. I don't have anything to prove. And maybe that has something to do with it. I don't have anything to prove. We're all in our own lane, on the freeway of life. Someone might go flying past you. That's their path. They might have been working on something a long time, have a lot of momentum. So just trusting my process, comparing my progress with myself, I think helps me not try to go too fast.
Yeah, this is also one of the reasons why I love the concept of CrossFit, but when I did it, I got injured quite a bit because my mind would just say push, 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 push. You don't want to be last. You don't want to let this someone who's older than you, whatever, lift more weight than you do. And that was my mentality, hence why I got hurt. And it's also interesting when I see trainers basically just muscle it with everything they do instead of just like, hey, how do you breathe properly? How do you make sure that you don't injure yourself, etc. And they're pretty cavalier about how they train their clients. That's when I know to me that, okay, this trainer is probably not for me.
Right.
Because if you're cavalier about your own body, how are you going to make sure that I don't injure myself? So recently, I'm quite interested in Tai Chi. So before going to the specifics of Tai Chi, I'm curious, given that once again, this is your profession, right? You're a doctor, your responsibility, what you sign up for is to make sure that people are well. They live curious to know your perspective. Do you train them to live an optimal lifestyle or a maximum lifestyle? Because maximum is not necessarily optimum.
I meet them where they are, and I address the thing that's most present to them. So a lot of times they'll be in a lot of pain. So by helping them get out of pain and into balance, then they will be more open to some other things. And they might say, well, what else do you have to offer, doc? Or they will trust me more, and then they'll be open to, okay, well, what's the next level? And then I'll take them there. But I don't have a goal to get, just meet them where they are. And if they want more, cool. They might just be happy with where they are. I just don't want to be in pain, and I just want to continue to watch Netflix and chill. And it's not for me to impose optimal, healthy lifestyle. But for those who are interested, I want to maximize. I want to I want my human performance to be at that next level. Then we'll have that conversation.
Okay. So following that thought, people who are listening to this, chances are they want to have that optimum lifestyle, optimum performance, right? What they can get out of the body. What are some of the tactical things you recommend for them to kind of start looking at? Some building blocks.
First, I just want to say, related to that fine line, and it relates to this, keep in mind it's a science and it's an art. And the art is finding that balance on how much to push, how much to pull back. And so I think we need to have some objective measures on how to approach those building blocks, and then also know our unique differences and strengths on how to move forward. So building blocks to optimize. I have in my.
You want to grab it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see what those are. 1 second. So recently I experienced a lot of changes in my business and my personal life, and I realized in order to take my business and my family to the next level, I needed to take care of me. I needed self-care. So I took on a project, an experiment on, I called it Hoover 2.0, how to optimize myself. So these are the things that I wrote down for me that I wanted to start doing to find that ideal balance that would also take me to the next level, so I have that mental clarity. I knew I had to train my body so I have a clear mind. So these are the categories I came up with: training, diet, reading, human performance. So some of these are like lab work and stuff, and I know you know about this. I'll talk to you about it. Spiritual maintenance, there's a play category, home, nourishing home, and family. Those were the categories I came up with. So for training, I am focusing on core, strength, cardio, flexibility, martial arts, and a new skill.
Training as in physical training?
Physical training, yes. And I put massage in there too, because I need to heal. So diet, increase the water. Well, I don't want to just go through like the whole list. I mean, I can, but maybe I could talk about why, or you tell me what's most interesting. But I knew a lot of us are dehydrated, so making sure I had enough water. And wow, that's really interesting. I put no sugar. I just started a no sugar discipline 12 days ago. So I finally just got around to that. Reading, business, personal development, some of the things that interest me. For human performance, I put cleansing. Cleansing is important. What I found is a lot of us, there are a lot of us that work on self-improvement, and I'm finding it's not enough to really get the results we want. And I think part of the reason is we are in a much more stressful environment, a much more toxic environment than our ancestors. So simply just, working out every day without a plan, eating relatively healthy or avoiding junk food isn't enough, because even the health food has sugar and all these, GMOs in it. So we have to be even more conscious about what we're putting in our body. So much so that it might look like, oh, you're a health freak. But so what? Self-care, so chiropractic, keeping the nervous system on point, acupuncture, meditation. There's some of these things in here I'm sure you do or you're interested in. So floating, I want to make sure I do some floats. Hyperbaric chamber. I've been experimenting with stem cell injections. Spiritual practice. There's a lot of things to do with that, like meditation. I find there's some master plants that are so powerful as providing guidance and clarity. Play, you can add whatever you want to your playlist. I have volleyball, surfing, paddleboarding, the beach, goes on, and keeping the home clean and like gardening. There's one of my philosophy teachers says, how does he say it? Something to the effect of, don't try to change the world until you have really, mastered your own garden. Get your own home in order first before you try to start telling other people. Right. So I'm really working on getting my home in order. And those are the main categories that I'm not hitting these at 100%. I'm not hitting all of these, but that's the direction. So I would say, just to recap my long-winded answer, train the body. Be mindful of the diet. Read, and that's self-programming, and podcasts too, right? So what you're putting in, so you want to think well. What are ways you can hack your body? That's really what the human performance section is. I do think chiropractic is an important one, and everyone needs to have their spine checked. Your nervous system is your master control of your body.
Say more about that, actually, because this is an area that I don't understand very much. Actually, not at all.
Okay, so I didn't find chiropractic until I was an adult. And then once I learned about it, this was even before I decided to go into the profession, I got it. And what it is so the brain and the spinal cord is the central nervous system. And we often call it the master controller of the body, because it controls every function, right? Your heartbeat, your organs, your muscles, down to every single cell. Nothing occurs in the body without a nerve impulse first. So if we have any nerve interference coming from our spinal cord out, anything downstream from that nerve, let's say you're in your thoracic spine, your mid-back, there is some impingement in the vertebrae or nerve interference, and that nerve goes to your lungs. Would you rather have, let's say, 80% of your nerve conducting communicating to your lung and back to your brain and back, or 100%? So that's really the concept. I want every part of my body to get 100% of the nerve communication live. And that's what chiropractic is about. most people think about, oh, I've got back pain, adjust my back, and that'll relieve the muscles and the sciatic pain. But why? The nerve coming out of the low back goes to the muscles in the low back. So you release the interference on the nerve, that muscle is going to relax. You don't even have to stretch the nerve or the muscle. Mm-hmm. And then the sciatic pain goes away, assuming that's the cause.
Right.
So that's the concept.
So often should they have their spines checked? Actually, I've heard this before. Someone, I can't remember exactly, I don't think it was a chiropractor, she said that if you have your posterior chain, which I'm assuming is the spine, right?
Similar, the posterior chain refers to the fascia, the myofascial chain, or the muscles that, if you imagine all the muscles on the back side of your body are somehow connected, and they are through fascia. They're like your postural muscles on the back side of your body.
Gotcha.
Which are controlled by the spine or the nerves coming out of the spine.
So how often should they have their spines checked?
This would be a great example as to there's a science and an art to it. So each person is different. If you've got someone who's more sedentary, or you've got
which is
high performance,
pretty much everyone right now.
Yeah. Or maybe your audience, you've got some high performance athletes, or someone who's wanting to really push their bodies, or you got people who are more sedentary and they meditate a lot, and they're in your audience as well. It'll totally depend. What I'll tell you is, if there's nothing to be corrected, like, or you got through corrective care because of some old injuries, most of our patients come either once a month, twice a month, or once a week, depending on their needs, for like tune-up.
Is there a quick check? Like, hey, if I can't touch my toes, whatever, right? Well, if I can't do a wheel, right, yoga pose wheel, then I better check it right away because of the mobility or whatever of my spine. It's injury prone. Is there a kind of like a quick check about one's spinal health?
Yeah. One is pain that comes and goes. It's not normal, right? It's common, so that might be a reason why. Like, it's not healing as fast as it normally does. Say you've got injury in your shoulder and just not healing properly. Like, well, why? Who's communicating to the shoulder about the healing and the blood flow? That might be one. Another simple one would be range of motion. A simple one would be you turn your head as far as you can to the left or right, and you ideally, normal range of motion would be your chin is lining up with your shoulder. Right? If you can't get your chin all the way to your shoulder, both sides, there's some restriction there. It may be coming from the spine, it may not be. So there's musculoskeletal reasons, but I think really when children, babies, being born is traumatic, and they yank on the head, and that's when they're developing. So just a quick check, and kids don't need adjustments that often. It's the adults, because we just hammer our body through life. We fall, we get up, we go. We fall, car accident, get up and go. And so there's a lot of accumulated damage.
How much do you feel that one's mental performance to one's spine health, to one's emotional health, to one's spiritual fitness? Actually, I'm using fitness and health interchangeably.
Okay.
Or, let me actually rephrase it. How much do you think are spine fitness to skeletal fitness, to muscular fitness, to emotional fitness, to mental fitness? How much do you think it's relevant or correlated?
How much do I think all of those are correlated?
Well, spine.
Oh, I start with the spine. I start with the spine. However, let me say, I think that many of the diseases in the body, or diseases in the body, come from a mental, emotional, or spiritual cause. If I'm feeling depressed, I'm going to slouch. I'm going to carry myself in such a way, and then that's going to pull on my body, and then I'm going to have poor posture. So they're totally interrelated. But the reason why I start with the spine is it's simple. It's very simple to adjust the spine and get it back. And there are emotions that can be held in the nervous system. And sometimes people will have a release emotionally when they get adjusted. I've seen grown men cry after their cervical spine was adjusted, but not because of pain. It just suddenly something was released.
It's a cathartic experience.
Yes, it can be. And then, so just make sure the nervous system's on point, and then we want to challenge the body so it grows. So whatever aerobic and strengthening type of fitness is important. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's very important. Mental fitness, all of them are important.
Of course.
They are all part of the whole, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you did. You're saying that they're all correlated.
Definitely.
Right? They're all part of the system. It's not compartmentalized.
No.
Because a lot of people say, oh, my spine's fine. I don't feel any pain. Oh, really? Well, what about your range of motion? What about, when I touch here, it's very, very sensitive, etc., etc. I mean, oftentimes when we do our meditation retreats, we could see that a lot of pain one feels is psychosomatic. And you can address it from the mental perspective, you can address it from the muscular perspective, you can address it from the skeletal perspective, sometimes even the spiritual perspective, right? So, I mean, this is what I found over the years, that all the system is so important, because I say this, in my younger years, I just cared a lot about my mental performance. I was basically a stick, with a walking head, right? Then I start to notice, okay, so the skeletal is super important too. So it's not just for looking good, but it correlates nicely with this capacity that I'm building.
Yeah.
So, Sananga. You have a gentle Sananga or more intense Sananga? I think the last time you did it with me, we did this one. This is the more intense one that Inting has.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that one.
Let's do that one. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So since you're a seasoned traveler, I'll let you do yourself. Or do you want me to do it for you?
I would prefer,
Okay.
I mean, just because I could do it myself,
Sure.
I don't think it would be the best.
Yeah, sure. Of course. So lean your head back as much as possible. So
Are you going to be able to reach over?
Yeah, so that way you can. It's, put in the wells of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Don't move.
Hey, how many drops are you going to do? All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm blinking. Where'd you go? So tell me a little, when you're ready, about your relationship with Sananga. What do you get out of it?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Just sheer pain. Questioning my choices in life. Where else in my life do I impose pain on myself? Knowingly or unknowingly.
This gotta seem crazy to a lot of people, you know?
Yeah. People think that I like it. I don't like it.
Right.
But I'm into this. I'm a masochist. I don't like it. It's not fun.
But it's what you get on the other side of it?
Exactly.
What do you notice about, are we doing that too?
Doing what?
I heard a sniff. Were you doing snuff?
No.
Oh. What do you notice in the process of the discomfort? What do you learn about yourself?
Over the years, I realized that I'm addicted. Actually, no, let me back up. Over the years, I realized our default way of being, our default way of feeling, mood, it's our favorite mood.
Wait, I didn't get that. Our
Sure.
default way of being is...
My default mood
Uh-huh.
is my favorite mood because I get a payoff from that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So my default mood is not joyous, not grateful. My default mood is looking at the gap of what I don't have yet. Right? And it doesn't really serve me at all. It actually, not really at all. Yeah, I realized that even when things like Sananga is super painful, it's just another reminder how this way of being is harming myself, harming the people around me. It is actually ripping the joy that's available to me at any given time. So one of the beautiful learnings from doing all these podcast interviews actually is from Paul's interview. He said that our default way of reacting to pain is closing up. We have that, default defensive mechanism. But precisely when things come up, the unnatural way is to open your heart. And on the other side of opening your heart is the payoff so much deeper and more sustainable versus the immediate payoff of closing your heart, that defense mechanism. Does that make sense, by the way?
It does. I'm reminded of that concept with Tai Chi and martial arts is, our default when someone's coming at you is to step away and push them away, whereas it's counterintuitive to embrace the opponent. And when you embrace the opponent and become one with them, they almost disappear.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way for me to kind of train myself to not to tense up, just relax. It's okay. This is safe, right? Yeah.
Okay.
It's a way to do it. So I'm actually very curious about Tai Chi now.
Okay.
Yeah. I learned, and this is another thing, learning from doing these podcasts. So one of the guests, Ben, he said he does this energetic hygiene. Mm-hmm. That's his mental model, hygiene. Mm-hmm. When he meditates, he imagines there's an energy from above coming through him. There's an energy from below coming through him, the yin and the yang, and he move it throughout his body as a way to cleanse his vessel, his physical body. I was like, oh, I really like that. So Tai Chi to me is a way to not just the physical side of things, but also energetically, spiritually, I'm able to move the energy in my head. What got you interested in Tai Chi?
I found Tai Chi because I practice martial arts, and Tai Chi or Tai Chi Chuan is a martial art, so someone invited me knowing I'm a martial artist. But what kept me was finding the profound treasures that lie within Tai Chi, and that is, the moving meditation, that less is more. It brings so much harmony in my life. It's how I found and met my wife. How I built a community around me. There's a saying, when you practice push hands with another person with Tai Chi, the one who's softest wins. Again, that's counterintuitive. If someone's coming powerfully at you, and you come powerfully in muscle, it's like fighting fire with fire. But if you just embrace whatever is happening in the moment and allow it and then move it, you're unstoppable. There's so many layers to it. Give and receive throughout the whole form. You push and then you give, or you give and you receive. You push, you pull. But if you pull too much, you lose your root. If you push too much, you become vulnerable. It's a very objective and subjective way to practice the universal principles of yin and yang and balance. Plus, there's so many layers to the health benefits.
What are some of the health benefits?
Psychological benefits, aerobic benefits without it being an aerobic stressor. It is a very safe weight-bearing exercise that increases bone density and strength. It calms the nervous system. A lot of our lives here in the West is spent in the sympathetic nervous system state, where our body is feels like it's under attack. And then parasympathetic is when they say rests and digests, grows and heals. It takes you there. And in a moment, in just a few breaths, you can totally shift your physiology, reprogram your body, your mind, your posture. By practicing Tai Chi, your posture improves. Yeah.
So what were someone who's interested, like I am, to learn Tai Chi? Is there a book you recommend? Is there a video course? Is there a website? Is there a podcast? Is there a...
My best recommendation is to jump into a class near you. It is an experiential type of practice. I discourage people trying to learn from video series.
Really?
I've actually got one. I've got a DVD series. Currently it's at about 300,000 views on YouTube, and I tell people not to watch it. Do a class and then
You mean your own?
My own one. Yeah, my own.
You tell me.
Yeah, don't watch it. You learn in a class and then use the video to help you with memorization or to point out some of the nuances. But you just got to jump in. You got to just jump in. You can read about it, and there's a lot of great philosophy and things, and I think that's great. But join a class. One of the easiest ways to find a class is on Meetup. There's classes all over. You are invited and welcome to come to our class on Sunday.
Yeah.
We have...
I'll be there.
Yeah, perfect. 9:30 a.m. and it's the largest free community Tai Chi class that I know of in Southern California. We've got about 60 students there any given Sunday, and I think the reason why it's so popular is it's all about the fundamentals. So it's a Tai Chi for beginners class, and we can get into the advanced stuff, but it doesn't really matter if you don't have the fundamentals.
And what's the difference between beginner and advanced? Do I get to break rocks with my bare hands once I get to advanced, or?
Well, there's degrees of advanced. So actually breaking the rocks with just your mind, just a look, it'll disappear.
Wow, this is like fantasy.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking with you. So it would be experience. So the distinction I make between beginner and intermediate is that you've memorized the form, whatever the form is.
So there's something kind of kata?
It's like a kata, yeah. And then once you have that memorized, then the real work can begin. You get benefit from just going through the motions and moving slowly, but once you have memorized most of the form, or there's sections that you remember, then that's when you can go deep and start to refine. Imagine doing some movements with a straight spine, relaxed shoulders, and you're moving slowly, so slow that it's almost uncomfortable, but you can surrender to that slow movement. And then you have an instructor say, okay, that looks good, keep doing that pattern, left and right. Now relax even more. Imagine all the tissues around your bones are just getting softer. Feel the energy flow through your hands as you keep doing that movement pattern, and you're not having to remember, is it like this or like that? So as we get the muscle memory more ingrained, you can work on the energy work, like the gentleman you said in the podcast who does his energetic hygiene. Tai Chi is a great way to do energetic hygiene, and that's my primary way of doing my energetic hygiene.
Beautiful. So what kind of benefits do you see in terms of, again, I'm using the word interchangeably, health, hygiene, fitness.
Okay.
Right. So what kind of benefits do you get once you're more energetically fit?
Well, in my experience, less reactive. There's a calm in the gap or the space between the stimulus and how you respond. So you get into less trouble that way. Will you read the question?
What kind of benefits do you get? Well, what do you see externally once you're more energetically fit?
Less illness. The people I know who are energetically fit rarely get colds and flus, if at all. If and when they do, they recover so quickly. They just sweat it out overnight, and then they're fine. More mental clarity, more endurance, more peace. To give you an idea with the energetic fitness, what I find, a lot of people will come and ask, hey, what herb do you have for more energy? Or what can you do? Give me some acupuncture for more energy. And I could sell people a lot of herbs, but again, or sell them my DVD, but I say, nope, I'm not. You're wasting a lot of energy, right? So we are just wasting so much energy. If you start to maintain your energy, then you don't need more. You don't need the caffeine. You don't need the stimulants. It's all there already. So finding the leaks or maintaining them, and then you're good, and our body has everything it needs. It knows what to do with the energy. We're just wasting it by being caught up in our heads or being, caught up in our bodies. We're not moving. So,
a lot of people ask me like, hey, what's your best biohack or your best relationship hack or your best productivity hack? And I've tried them all, right? I've experimented with all of them. Ultimately, as you said, to plug up the leaks, to see where you're wasting energy, to see where you're wasting mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, really.
Yes.
To let go of the things that don't serve you is, to me, the most efficient way of increased performance.
Yeah.
When you're holding on to the past or worrying about the future, not being present in this moment, if you let go of those things, that is the biggest hack.
And a happy side effect, when you've got that energy, for the men listening, increased libido.
So now that we're there, what other things or ways, once again, since you're a doctor, right, what kind of ways are there ways to increase one's sex drive, libido?
I would say began by letting go of porn. I find one of the most common things men, if it's not a physiological thing, why they aren't able to be up and hard, is they're in their mind, they're caught in their mind, they're too stressed out and things like that. And then also when it comes to porn, with a lot of the men I know, it gives a false sense of reality. They're objectifying women, and then when they're with the woman that they really want to be with, there's what's real, what's fake, and there's just a disconnect. And sexual energy is something that flows, and I think that porn is disharmonious. I don't think it's a bad thing per se. I don't think it should, I just think it's overused. And so that's one part. The other part is they're wasting a lot of their sexual energy by ejaculating, so more often. So preserve your semen. Masturbate less. Focus on your energy internally. And there are some techniques and hacks on how you can actually orgasm without ejaculating. You may have heard of the $1 million point. There's a pressure point between your anus and your balls or your scrotum. Some call it the tank, some call it the raphe. And the vas deferens, there's a tube that goes through, and if you just pinch that with your fingers at the time of orgasm, the semen won't come out, and then you'll reabsorb that energy. There's a lot of essence in traditional Chinese medicine. A lot of our essence and qi is stored inside of our sperm and semen, and then we lose it over and over again. Why do you guys just pass out after they ejaculate? So preserving that. Again, I'm just kind of want to plug up the leaks. Another thing would be there's herbs. I guess but I'm so hesitant. For the audience, I have a master's degree in Western herbology, a master's in Eastern herbology. I'm a big time herbalist, and I love herbs, But I find more and more that's not the answer, and people are coming to herbs like they come to medications and drugs. Just treat the symptom. What herb do you have for libido?
That's the Western philosophy.
Yeah, it's the Western philosophy.
Right, give me the pill.
Yeah. I think it's the work that you're doing, the people you're interviewing, the things they're up to. That's going to give you the most energy. Work out, libido is going to go up. Eat more clean food. You're going to have more energy. Become present. Increasing your body awareness through practices like Tai Chi, yoga. You'll be more sensitive. You'll know how to move the energy. What I found personally is finding a practice that gets you out of your head, where you're not thinking so much, so you can be in the present moment and present with whomever, and the energy and the blood flow will flow and be there when you need it and when you want it.
So actually, I was talking to Paul, our previous guest, and his technique is to find things that really excites him, such that he doesn't need to release his energy in porn or whatever, masturbation, whatever. Yeah. He just so alive. He found business really intriguing, acting really intriguing, flying planes really intriguing, talking to people really intriguing. So he's fully alive. So he didn't need to find a way to stimulate his mind, his heart, or whatever in some other ways. That's kind of his mental model.
Yeah, it's interesting. When people start to get sick and diseased, the reproductive function starts to go down because the body's like, I need to focus my energy on healing, and the last thing it needs to do is start thinking about sex, right? So I think sexual health, libido, stamina is a great indicator of overall health. If you have a strong libido, then that means there's a lot of other things that are working. And like Paul, be on fire, be alive about life. Everything else will flow. You're going to have a better immune system, better libido. So it's really aligning all of these different blocks, as you said earlier, and it's just all these different things, your mind, your body, your heart, spirit. Nourish all of those. Find the balance. Don't push too hard that then you break down and you're not recovering. And I really think it's that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated.
In other words, just want to make sure that I hear it correctly. Your libido is a leading indicator to your health, your well-being as a man.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah. One of them. It's not the only, but it is a strong one. Yeah. It is definitely a strong one.
Thanks for that. Okay, so now that we're on that topic, what other ways do you, Daniel, use as a way to ground yourself as a man? So you operate from a healthy expression of what it means to be a man.
The first thing that comes to mind is being with men in my life. By being around other men, I think it's important. Making time, I have time that is away from my family, just with the men. Another way is to literally ground, have my feet, bare feet, touching the earth, and do Tai Chi, or a standing or seated meditation. Physical activity and competition is a great way for me to get grounded, get me out of my head. And creating something, finishing a project, creating something and completing it gives me satisfaction, makes me feel grounded, like I was productive and I contributed something. So some form of contribution.
How do you select your circle of men? Why are your men your men?
Typically, I look for ego to be very much not in the picture. I know we all can have our egos engaged, but men who aren't just driven by their ego.
Ego is in, let me show you who's boss, how smart I am kind of ego? Like a narcissism kind of way?
Yes, partly. Men who are willing to learn and grow, men who are flexible and like to have fun.
So open-minded, fun, flexible. Anything else?
And CK approves.
CK approves.
Yeah.
All right, that's beautiful. So I wanted to wrap this up, right? So, and I want to make sure that people who are listening walk away, and you gave so many like actionable tips, but if there's only one thing that they can take on when they're inspired by your narrative, by your story, by your way of being, what would be the one thing that they can take on tonight or tomorrow or this weekend?
Try something new. Part of what we did during this podcast was some medicine that is disruptive medicine, and in order to grow, we have to get uncomfortable. So try something new that you've been wanting to do for some time, and it's going to challenge you, and you're going to be alive. And there's a reason why you want to do this thing that you've been wanting to do. In your case, is Tai Chi. Just take action on that new thing. It may be you want to write a book, or you want to start, whatever it is you want to start, take action on that, and that's going to bring life to you. And when we're more alive, you're going to draw in the other things we've been talking about throughout this podcast to support that new venture.
Beautiful.
And get a good, restful night's sleep.
Okay, that's
a big part. We actually didn't talk about rest is a big part. Rest and recovery.
So say more about that. Like, okay, so I'm bored, right? I want to be more restful. I want to recover better. What are some of the tactical things I can take on to rest better?
I make sure that my default is 8 hours of sleep every night, unless there's some special event where it requires little sleep, but then I'm caught up and then I'll catch up on the other side. If you have trouble sleeping, some of the things that I've found is turn off all technology at least 30 minutes before you get to bed. Have a pen and paper nearby so you can get the ideas out of your head if that's what's keeping you up. And set the intention. Create a ritual around preparing for bed and make it a priority. You need to get your sleep. Otherwise, you're going to be burning the candle on both ends, and you're not going to, again, we're talking about the leaks of energy. This is a time we get to rejuvenate and really restore our energies when we sleep.
Why 8 hours? Why that specific number? I know that's what everyone says, but from your perspective, why 8?
Then to clarify, I would say around 8 hours. A lot of research shows 8 hours is the sweet spot, and I've found it personally a good amount for me. More than 8, I feel sluggish. Less than that, I feel like I could use more. So some people it might be 7.5 hours. Some might be 8.5, but around 8, 6 or greater. 6 to 8, I would say, is good. And I know this because there's times in my life, like when I was in graduate school, I was in 2 graduate programs, and everyone's like, how do you sleep? How do you study? I made sure that I would get my 8 hours, and if I wanted to study more, I wouldn't. If I didn't know it by the time it was time for bed, I wasn't going to know it with another hour or 2 of studying. And so I had an advantage by taking a test the next day by being fresh than trying to squeeze in one more point on a test, one more answer on a test.
So I got a question. I'm actually really curious about the 8 hours thing, because honestly, I can't sleep for 8 hours. My body automatically wakes up after 6.
Okay, one more hack, and this might speak to it. I don't know. Go to bed before 11 p.m. In traditional Chinese medicine, we have energy flow from one organ system to the next in 2-hour periods. And before 11 is when, just before the energy shifts to the next organ system, that'll help you sleep. It'll be hard to get really good sleep. And there's just rhythms, right? The circadian rhythm. According to traditional Chinese medicine, if you can get to sleep before 11, you're going to be in sync with the other rhythms on the planet. But let's talk more about not being able to sleep, and maybe I can address it, but that is one of the hacks that's very important. Because you can try to go to bed at 12 o'clock and then wake up at 8 in the morning, but it won't be the same kind of sleep as if you went to bed at 9, 10, or...
Do you use any technology as a way to help you monitor your own health, like Aura Ring or those wearable technologies as a way to meditate or whatever it may be?
I have here and there. I just work on refining my own physical objective measures. Again, traditional Chinese medicine, they were very observant. So there's certain things. I look at my tongue. You can tell a lot about what's going on inside the body by just looking at your tongue. Complexion, how are the bowel movements, things like that. So that's how I tell. I do check my heart rate when I exercise, but currently not
heart
too
rate
much.
monitor?
Yes. Mm-hmm. But things to help sleep, there's something called grounding mats or grounding sheets. I found those to be helpful. I haven't used one in a while because ours broke for a reason I'm not going to get into right now. But yeah.
All right. Mr. Hoover, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I really want to acknowledge you. I'm acknowledging you for everything that you share, for just bringing all this you're a doctor, bringing all this new information to our audience. You know, how to maintain one's own spinal fitness, muscular fitness, you know, and then cascades accordingly. And it's been really fun. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Cool.